So one thing I've come to understand is that a lot of people are told online to tell stories. But how you actually tell stories through content isn't an easy thing. There's many ways you can go about this. The very simple way, which I'm going to pull up here on my laptop, is retelling a story about your specific life experiences. So that's obviously not that hard. Like if I go right here, I have a video here talking about my specific experiences and why I started my company. So I'll put the sound on for a bit so you can watch a little bit. Not too much, because that's not the end of the video.
5 years ago, I was a just big on uni. I liked anime, Fortnite, and sports more than anything, to be honest. I also ran a skincare brand.
Pause. I'm not going to try and put these different types of storytelling in categories. We'll do that in another video. But this type of storytelling is a way of allowing people to know who you are through your content. Another way, which I've started to implement a whole lot more, is actually telling stories through the way that you actually associate different topics or people or times or places to what you're talking about. Like, if I go here quickly, there's one content piece that's coming out on June 16th that the reason why it will stand out compared to the average content piece I create is because I am talking about Miyamoto Musashi. Some of you might think, who on earth is that? Or some of you might know exactly who that is. He's a famous Japanese swordsman. He was famous for, basically, let me quickly search him up. He was famous for his two-sword style. He was a Japanese strategist and artist, as it says here. And he is quite a renowned, I think that's the word, yeah, for his, not just his sword skills, but his mentality, which I speak about in the video coming out. And what I've begun to understand more and more over time is that when you're trying to tell a story about anything, you need to really understand what the emotion is you're trying to actually get across. For example, if you're speaking about a topic which is quite sincere or heartfelt, you can speak about superheroes or cartoon characters or anime characters because sometimes they can be actually relevant to the specific theme of the video. I don't want you to think that just because you watch superheroes, you watch cartoons, you watch anime, that you're unable to actually tell a story. Telling a story is very simple, but analogies are needed. A simple comparison between one thing and another, typically for the purpose of explaining something or to clarify something. For example, if I want to explain to a child why they shouldn't touch something very hot, you could, if you have in mind a specific instance when someone touched something very hot and they burnt themselves. You could talk about Prince Zuko in the last Avatar, the last Airbender, and how he was burnt. Obviously that's a very extreme version, but you can use that to explain why you shouldn't play with fire. And that instantly puts a sense of imagery in a person's mind, which is actually impossible without you actually having the skill set to associate specific experiences and specific cartoons, videos, and things that you hold dear to yourself to the person you're trying to communicate with. And me saying this is quite simple, but let me give you an example right now, okay? So let's think of a topic that is quite common amongst people in general. So let's say some people have loss of confidence, some people lack confidence, and some people in the middle. I don't care what stage you're at, but I'm going to use an analogy to explain how to overcome confidence using the anime character called Rock Lee. Okay, Rock Lee is not broccoli, he's an anime character from Naruto, and he is known for being very cowardice and not being mentally strong, but he's very strong physically. And what he has to learn is that his strength physically is good. It's good to have physical strength, but if you don't have that mental strength for you to actually use your physical strength, then it's kind of pointless. If you're not mentally strong and spiritually strong, then it's not going to work. And for you to be able to understand the parallel between Rock Lee and himself, it's simple. He had to face lots and lots of different things in his life for him to understand that him being afraid is always going to limit him. It says in a specific Bible verse, it's Matthew chapter 6, verse 27, which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to a span of life? It's true that none of you can add a single hour to a span of life by being anxious. So why do it? You're not doing it intentionally, I get that. But it's the same principle in the sense of just because an animated character is stronger with something, it doesn't mean you can't relate to it. Your ability to tie that to something which you want someone to resonate with in content is a skill which you develop over time. But the simplest way for you to be able to do that is literally begin to start talking to people more. So talk to people about things that you like and begin to tie in different elements about things that aren't actually, let's say, typically associated in what you're talking about. If you're talking about politics, you can speak about Gumball. How? I won't tell you how to do that one specifically, because that one I'll probably use for a separate video. But Gumbo has a lot of different conflicting ideas. Politics has conflicting ideas, so you can tie them together. And you won't be able to tie things together if you're unable to think deeply yourself about what the parallels are and how you can actually tie them together and associate them with each other. But telling stories through your content is very simple. I'm gonna have like some more content and material coming out about how I do it. And if you want to learn directly from how we do it with our clients, there's gonna be a link down below for you to like book a small call if you want to, and we can speak a whole lot more about how you can tell stories through your content. Because telling stories is more than just a storytelling video, but it's actually striking an emotion and emotional connection with the person. Because if you're not striking any type of emotional connection, then you've actually failed within the storytelling. Storytelling is meant to be an emotional way of not manipulating, but of influencing somebody to have a specific thought or to remember a specific thing or to take a specific action. And if you can't do that, then you're not bad at content, you're not good at content if you can. It's just a skill that you can acquire over time, but it takes time. And as someone who's been in business for 7 years and has done content for 5, I understand exactly what you need to do to be able to achieve that. But it's not about me trying to give you this one blueprint that fits all. It's about you understanding that telling stories through analogies and using analogies to tell stories, vice versa, is something you should do. It doesn't mean you have to always do it, but the more you experiment with it, the easier it will become. There's even a YouTube channel, which I'll pull up here, called Geek Psych. So Geek Psych is this anime channel which they tie together different anime aspects and philosophies of life. And if you're somebody who's doing mindset coaching, you can use so many different characters to just speak about how this character transformed their life through this. Like there's an anime character who falls asleep whenever he's fighting called Zenitsu, and it's a subconscious thing that happens. And you can literally use that to explain why we subconsciously run away from the things that's going to change our life. You wouldn't think about that. And it's not saying go and watch lots of anime and cartoons so you can do that comparison. It's about you stepping out of your comfort zone and creating that content that's actually going to strike that connection that impacts people. Because content that gets views and content that impacts is not the same. It is very simple to make content that gets lots and lots of views. That isn't what I'm aiming for. And hopefully that's not only what you're aiming for. Yes, you can do it every now and then, that's fine. But what you need to understand, as a creator that's trying to impact this world, you have a purpose. And for that purpose to come to fruition, you actually have to forget about all the numbers, forget about what this person thinks you should do, what that person thinks you should do, and do what God's called you to do. Easier said than done, of course, but the more that you actually stop thinking just about yourself and start thinking about how you can impact in a way which shows that you're serving others, you're going to go far with your content. And yeah, it's not going to be easy, but that's fine, because not everything's meant to be easy. You're meant to be able to be challenged and understand that the more that you allow yourself to be challenged, the more that you're going to be able to overcome stuff. And that comes through many things. For example, if you think about Spider-Man, he is the only superhero who I can say straight away most people can resonate with, because he's young, he struggles in lots of stuff within his life, and he's not perfect. He's not like Captain America, he's not like Tony Stark, he's not like Thor. He actually has stuff he has to do day-to-day basis. And just as he had to make sure that he has his mindset on understanding that with great power comes great responsibility, you have to understand the same thing. If we're trying to impact this world in a huge way, there's going to be great responsibility that comes with that. And as long as you know that, you're on the right track. So whoever you are watching this video, I want you to understand that you're able to do this and tell stories, but you need to think about a bigger picture, not just about how you can manipulate through stories, but how you can tie specific things which your ICP will resonate with, and that's how you be an impactful creator. As always, God bless you. Peace. Don't forget, keep serving.